me, Gaylyn Lareese, and welcome back to another apartment makeover video here on my channel. So if you saw the last video in this series, then you saw where I turned the second bedroom in my apartment into a full office space. We did a lighting fixture DIY, a nice little accent wall, also some really cool pieces of geometric art. There's a lot of stuff that went into that room. So if you have not checked that video out, go ahead and check that one out after this one. But today I decided to move into the living room. Now, I know this space is going to take me a long time to do, so I wanted to start by focusing on this blank wall. So basically, this is the first area that you see when you come through the front door, and on the other side is my kitchen. So I want it to be a spot that kind of makes a statement. There are some really hideous things going on in this space. There is an ugly boob light that likes to also collect the occasional fly. There is this old like telephone port over here. Like there's just some ugly things going on that I want to cover up. But the first thing that I really want to handle is actually making the console table. I want it to function partially as design because, you know, things have to look cute, but I also want it to function as a place for me to store things. So in this video, you're definitely going to see me make the DIY table and start to make some pieces that I can use to style it a bit. So let's just jump into the footage of me at Home Depot.
So I found these pieces. They look like they've already been like ran through a planer and the sides are perfectly straight. So I don't want to buy a table saw right now. I'm not there. But I could use these to make what I need to make. You see what I'm saying? So I would just need to figure out how much linear feet I need. And then if I need to get it cut here, I can do that. Y'all, it's coming together. I see it in my head now.
After taking a look at the supplies I planned on using, it was time to tailor my design a bit to the materials. This is why every now and then I like to take trips to the hardware store just to see what's available and what I can do with the tools I already have. I want a console table with an asymmetrical look, so I pulled inspiration from these linear, more contemporary pieces to create my design, and I loved the metal detail that some of them had. A side note, metal table legs can get expensive. So I realized I was gonna have to work around that a bit as I built. But after measuring my TV, I had the exact dimensions I needed to buy the wood that I needed to start, and it was time for me to actually begin the project.
Thought she could escape, but it's all the same. Birds fly south for the winter, but she ran to the west side. And though much was stolen, much still abides, and I.
So I've laid the pieces out just to see what they would look like, you know, just to get a feel for it. So this piece, actually, they weren't the exact same, so I had to use a handsaw to cut that down. But as you can see, it's a pretty simple design, but I think it's just gonna make a nice focal point in the living room. All I'm really gonna have to do is just like a really light sanding on the top. I highly recommend these hobbyist pieces because it takes a lot of the extra work out. Now that I have sanded both of these down so they're a lot more smooth, I'm gonna go ahead and glue these two sides together. It's so lumpy. Why is it so lumpy? So after attaching the clamp long ways across both sides. So this is the handle from the other clamp to keep the pieces close together. Then I put a extra wood piece and a clamp on the top just to make sure that it's gonna be straight. So this is a pocket hole jig, and it's gonna allow me to make pocket holes in the leg parts so that it'll create stronger corners. I'm not the best at explaining it, but basically I'm gonna use a drill to create the holes, and this is gonna like guide it to make sure that the holes are actually straight. So this is my first time using it. I've done a practice one. Hold on, where is it? I did a practice one. This is what it looks like. So this is focus, focus, focus. This is a pocket hole right here. This was the first time I attempted it and it did not work. But this is what it's gonna look like. And then so the screw will go inside there. And then after you're done inserting the screw, you can cover it with wood filler. So then it's basically like the screw's not even there. So I don't know if you can see, but I'm marking which side is the inside on the board, as well as which sides go together on the bottom. This one's harder to see because it's black. So when the tabletop and the leg are gonna connect, you want the pocket holes to be on the outside because that way it has more wood to go into, so it's gonna make the joint stronger. If the holes were on the inside, then it doesn't have a lot of wood to grip onto because it's gripping onto the outside edge. So that's gonna make it more liable to break. I'm trying to make this as strong as possible to support this TV because it seems pretty heavy.
And now that all of the pieces were made, it was time to glue them and screw them together. My right angle clamps made this so easy and just helped me get those really clean corners on all of the table every single time.
Just pulled up to the house. Don't feel like it now. I'ma just lay back and crack this window. I've been doing my best.
And after the wide table legs were secure, I drilled holes down the center of the small pillar legs and spray painted them with a satin black spray paint to give it the look and sheen of cast iron without it actually being iron.
You can go home with it. Jump on jealousy, my bad. Get away from me, 'cause I've been working all day. Can I catch a break? Give a pretty brown girl her space. You can keep your bitter. I'ma make a better way.
And while that's drying, I condition the wood and I'm staining the rest of the table with a mix of two colors, dark walnut and special walnut.
Better way, hey, hey, catch a break. Better way, oh, Mom and Dad's only daughter, do I make you proud?
And then to finish the table off, I used large hanger bolts to glue and screw the pillar legs in place.
Constantly. When it's my truth, I own, I speak, it don't make sense now. Give it a go.
So the TV table is almost done. I have a pretty good idea of how it's gonna look in the room. And now I wanna create some different decor pieces that I can use on top of it and other places in my living room to bring in more of a modern feel. I wanna bring in more curved lines and funky shapes, and I don't want everything to be so flat and straight. So I'm going to attempt to make this candle holder and this sculpture. So I have actually already made one of these candle holders and I think it came out pretty good. It was my way to like test it out and see how it goes. I want to make a second one so that I have a set and I can either style them together or far apart. But I also thought it would be really cool to make a sculpture with these little wooden pieces as the bases, because I thought that also would just look really nice in the room. So those are going to be the two different projects I'm attempting right now. And the first one is going to be the sculpture.
For the sculpture, I'm starting off by cutting the shape I want out of a piece of scrap cardboard. And I'm gluing clumps of newspaper to the shape. This will help to give the sculpture some width so that the clay doesn't lay flat on top of it when we get to that part. In the meantime, I'm wrapping the newspaper in blue tape to smooth out the edges so that the shape overall can start to come together and it can start to kind of look like what the end result is going to look like once we put the clay on top. And then I rolled out a ball of clay about the size of my fist into a flat sheet and wrapped it around the shape, taking time to smooth the edges with a bit of water on my fingertips so that the edges of the clay created smooth seams. And most importantly, I left a small space for me to hot glue a small wooden dowel into so that I could stick it into the wooden base.
So this is what it's looking like right now. It looks a little rough, but I'm gonna spray paint over it. So now I'm just gonna let it dry. This stuff does take, a couple days to really fully dry down. So I'm just gonna wait for it to dry down and then I will spray paint it.
Instead of spray painting, I realized that I liked the stark white color, but I wasn't feeling all of those lumps. So instead, I'm just giving it a good sanding all over to smooth those out so that the clay looks a bit more finished in its natural state. Now, next up is this super easy candle holder. I'm starting with a ball of clay the size of 2 fists and I'm rolling it out into a sheet about 1/4 inch in thickness. After rolling it out, I rolled the clay back on itself to create a long snake shape and rolled it with my hands to make it longer. Now with the long snake shape, I'm folding it into a loose knot and am sitting it flat on the table to remove the longer end. And with the general shape complete, I used my fingers to create the opening at the top for the candle to sit in and smoothed out the sides with some water. Setting the wooden dowel under it helped to support the clay while it dried so that it didn't dry with too many weird cracks or creases, and after it fully dried, I sanded it to smooth it down. Now, that other orange candle holder needed to be a different color, so I sprayed it and the wooden base for my sculpture with a brown primer spray paint, and then sprayed the candle holder with a textured spray paint to give it more of a neutral look. And now it was time to put the whole display together.
I think the reason why it was able to come out looking so good is because of those right angle clamps I used. So I highly recommend those. Because of them, the angles are just perfectly straight. I'm not worried about the table being like super sloped at all. So let's go ahead and put the TV on and then my little pieces of decor. this is a thrifted piece that I got about a year ago. I believe it was someone's pottery project. It was a bunch of different colors. So I just spray painted over it with black spray paint, and then I did a coat of matte spray paint on top of it just to kind of make it look more medieval, maybe. I'm gonna put that here, and then I got this cute little thrifted cup as well. So I think those are gonna look cute next to each other. And then this is a thrifted basket that I got. I got a set of 2 of them, I think for like $6. So I thought this would be perfect for putting blankets in. So that way, like when my friends come over and we're chilling on the couch, they can easily have a blanket to grab. So I thought that would fit perfectly in this little spot right here. Last but not least, I got this beautiful vase from a thrift store. I can't remember, I think this was a year ago too. I think I paid like $40 for it. It's super gorgeous. I put some foliage in it that I had found outside, but since then it has died, so it needs more foliage. But I feel like it's gonna look perfect in this little corner over here. I knew I wanted it to go somewhere in the apartment, and I think this is the perfect spot.
And then you will go away. I'm not gonna be begging you to stay. Said maybe if you asked me yesterday, I would handle this differently. Things are different, I'm a new me. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. So
and that is it, you guys. That is part 1 of my living room makeover. I am so proud of how this DIY TV console table came out. It looks exactly how I wanted it to, and it was so much fun. So let me know down below in the comments if you want me to do more woodworking projects. Like I said, this was my first really big one, but I'd love to do more, especially if you guys like to see me do more of them. Next video in this series, we're gonna tackle some wall art. I'm gonna figure out what the heck I'm gonna put over there. Maybe we're gonna get some furniture, side tables, I don't know. It's not a project that I have a really strict timeline on, so I'm just kind of letting myself go with the flow with it, and as I flow, you guys will be able to join me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you have not already to my channel. I will see you guys in my next video next weekend. Later.